my channel. So today I wanted to come and do a video about a situation that happened to me today and use it as another teachable moment, okay? Oh, okay, I just had to make sure that it's still actually live right now. So, anyways, I had an incident that I know earlier today was very orchestrated by the adversarial forces, and there were many players involved with what happened. You know, at surface level, it would seem like maybe it was just these two individuals, but the way that it played out, it was totally other people involved, and a lot of um, I guess you could say people in the upper echelons that were coming through the area to get feedback about what had occurred. So, just being able to see these other individuals basically um, in their mode of operations, right? See MOs and their body languages and everything like that allowed me to know that they were absolutely involved as well. But so let me just say this. If there are children around, this is not a topic of discussion that we will be discussing that is for the ears of children. So make sure that you are a responsible adult and get them out of the area or take yourself out of the area before I begin to explain what actually happened. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to do that and then I will begin. Okay, now that all the babies is out of the area and we can have grown folk conversations as the old people used to say. The thing that happened earlier today is that basically the adversarial forces were attempting to use something that they believe was traumatic trigger triggering situation to say they were attempting to create a situation that would trigger me. And so there is a couple that is normally around an area that I am at times. And this couple is a salt and pepper couple. The woman is Caucasian and the masculine is a misidentified black man, which is more than likely indigenous. And they both came into my presence, and the woman, like, basically came, like, super close to me, which was completely unnecessary in the area that we were in. And when she came close to me, it was basically close enough to be a violation of, my personal space. And so my attention to her, in which then called my attention to her man, who was only like about 8 feet behind her. And so, anyways, he actually had his pants completely ajar, and indecently exposed himself to me. So I immediately, told the individuals that needed to be told in that specific business or whatever. And so they contacted the sheriffs and the supervisors and all of that. And when the sheriffs and the supervisors came together and we were all discussing what had happened, these people attempted to basically gaslight me and lie about what the penal codes and the law was regarding indecent exposure. So, um, after attempting to seek justice and having these people think that they were going to play in my face and lie, about what um, indecent exposure is. The supervisor and the supervisor for the company, as well as the sheriff, actually stated, for the record, that indecent exposure also had to have what they stated as intent to pleasure themselves, intent to, it had to have something else, right? And so after they all left and they were not going to do anything other than basically uh, give me an incident report that had already been cleared through the sheriff's department. I mean, completely, basically ceased any further actions, right? And they had also let the couple leave the area and basically, um, just let them go. They never questioned them. They never stopped them. They never detained them or anything. And so after the sheriffs and the supervisors of the company, that, the involved company, after they left, I looked up the penal code for indecent exposure, and lo and behold, it was exactly what I had stated. And no intent was ever, actually um, required within the penal code, right? So it literally states uh, that it's a willfully and lewdly exposing one's private parts in a public place or where others are present to be offended. Okay, and so yes, I was offended and attempted to press charges for what is considered a sex crime, and this individual would then in the future actually have to register as a sex offender, um, and possibly have to serve some time for this offense, right? And it is classified as a misdemeanor, but carries, serious penalties, like I stated, including potential sex offender registration and jail time. Okay. Um, so, anyways, once I double checked what the penal code actually states for the alleged state that that these people would have been charged under, and seeing that it was exactly what I stated, I actually made a 911 call, had them refer me to the sheriff's, and spoke to a supervisor in which he clearly agreed with me and apologized that that had happened, and that his subordinate had not done his job, and he was asking me if I would like for that same one to come back out. And at first I was like, absolutely not, because that individual already did not want to give me the justice that I deserve. And then he explained to me why he wanted that same individual to come back out, and it's basically like good parenting, and that's what I told him. I said, oh, okay, well, that would be good parenting. So, and he kind of laughed at that, the supervisor did. But it's along the lines of a child stealing from a store, and the parent or whoever is a caretaker having that child go back into the store that they stole back and apologizing for stealing it. Okay, so it was giving something very similar to that. So I was like, okay, yes, send him back. Well, when he came back, another SUV also came as well, and that SUV had a male sheriff and a female sheriff. And the male sheriff was attempting to educate me, as he stated, And he also was stating that there had to be some kind of intent. And so I told him to his face that he was lying and he was in perjury, and that if that was the case, the superior, their supervisor, would not have sent them back out here to correct what had not been done previously. So that I was right, and that this situation was supposed to be corrected via what the supervisor had already, you know, agreed with me about the indecent exposure. So, anyways, when that guy was attempting to, the sheriff, the additional sheriff that, had come back, when he was trying to educate me, he was not attempting to educate me. He was attempting to gaslight me into also not getting my rights, having my rights being to seek the remedy that I deserve, which is justice. So the original sheriff actually had stated, okay, well, we can go and talk over here. Basically, he was attempting to like separate me from the other two sheriffs because he was the one that really sent uh, back to make a correction of what he had incorrectly done. So I went with him, and he took the actual report, and he stated that there was going to be then an investigation. They were going to pull the cameras from the said location, business location, and the pictures that I took of the two of the couple was also added the to the evidence. So, anyways, it took half a day, half of my day, pretty much the first half of my day. But I'm saying all of this. These people will go extreme links. One, to attempt to trigger you. Once they have triggered you, then they want to get the people involved off scot free. So the original, situation when all of these supervisors and the original, sheriff had left, nothing had been done. Okay, so this individual wouldn't have even gotten a slap on the wrist. He was going to have nothing done to him because all of these people, I don't care what anybody says, every last single one of them was involved in this orchestration, right? And they had it all planned out and played out to where this would have been a situation that was supposed to violate my rights, violate me as a woman by this individual indecently exposing themselves to me, and then nothing be done about it, which is totally unacceptable and inappropriate. Okay, but it was only that I actually pressed the. Okay, I don't know where it cut off at, but for some reason it was saying that it was reconnecting. Anyways, so what I don't know exactly what part it cut off at, but what I will say is that I guess I'll go back to when I actually, pressed the issue and called. Okay, it cut off again right as I'm saying that once I pressed the issue. Wow, that is crazy. I do not know why it keeps cutting off when I am talking about the supervisor. Interesting. Okay, so this live keeps cutting out specifically when I'm talking about specific points of the situation. So this whole situation was orchestrated. That's what I will say. And once the issue to make the 911 call and call to speak with a supervisor. That supervisor did not know about the situation, and I'm quite sure was not involved to actually make this individual do their job. And I hope that they do an internal investigation, because this situation of what happened, and this is their right to seek, exercise their right to seek remedy. And so it keeps cutting off. So I'm gonna actually, probably actually do a hard hard cut recording and then add it or whatever, because this is ridiculous how much that's what they want to continue to do stuff like that, so that I don't want to go live or whatever, because it's like cutting out uh, like every other word, it seems like, when I'm speaking about the importances, the important parts of this situation. But anyways, um, I'm not going to, as I say, run it up, but what I will say is that these types of orchestrations are what high vibrational beings are going through. Whether you are at whatever business, you are at whatever school, you are at whatever location, there are groups of people. It's almost giving Truman Show. It's almost giving, like, the agents in the Matrix. It's giving a lot of these, like, different movie vibes, if you will. But it's definitely like teams of individuals that are operating together to attempt to get desired outcomes, and the interesting part is I'm in an area that there are, you know the place. And what's crazy is that, these individuals think that they can do something to change my energy, my vibration, and my frequency by having a man not only indecently expose himself to me, then attempt to orchestrate the situation to where I don't get justice for that offense. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So these are the extreme orchestrations with multiple different organizations and companies all operating together to attempt to get a desired outcome, in which they also had in the background of this an underlying, I guess you could say, uh, black magic spell work or whatever, that in between the two times sheriffs had come out, I actually seen what they were lying around, all their little trinkets and doodads or whatever, and all of that stuff up. And then when I left that area, and I the I guess the justice from going any further. They were attempting to um, like cease the justice from being able to go any further. So anyway, spiritually is like their safety net, if you will, to be able to do what they were doing, right? And if that wasn't canceled out, then they have basically like almost like a cloak protection, if you will. No, we the main point that I want you to get as a chosen one, as a high vibrational being, as a light worker, as a star seed, indigo, anything that you deem yourself on that high spectrum, is that these individuals, they are in the grocery stores, they are at the schools, they are in the businesses, they are, you know, as a lot of people have come to realize they're being gang stalked. I said, I'm gonna get used to being gang stalked. I'm not being gang stalked, and I'm not gonna be upset. I'm gonna be used to being gang stalked because guess what? I'm sure that's what these feel like all the time, anyways. Aren't they being gangster? Okay, well, I've just become a celebrity and didn't realize it. Okay, all these people following me, all these people so obsessed with what I'm doing, want to know, all this. I'm just gonna chalk it up to I'm a celebrity. Okay, that they're so interested in everything I got going on, and yeah, so that is what it is. But this whole situation, it also was orchestrated so that during this, you know, this 10th of the month, right, which I'm sure today and tomorrow there probably some kind of portal or whatever for people. Oh my God! It said that it cut out. I don't know where it cut out, but they're basically using these orchestrations to trigger people, um, and so that they can create loosh and they can siphon people's energy, vitality, and change their frequency, vibration, and energy to something lower so they can feed off of people. And the main way that they felt that they could trigger me was by this man exposing his genitalia towards me because they, I'm sure, know that I've been sexually assaulted. And this is along those lines, right? A man exposing his genitalia to a woman is inappropriate. And what was crazy is that his woman is right in front of him. But it was like definitely something that they both had like agreed upon for him, because the way that it happened, her basically attempting to come way, uh, you know, way too far into my, personal space to call my attention to her to even look up from what I was doing. So, anyways, just keep your heads on a swivel. Make sure that you are looking alive in these spiritual streets because they are, basically going to extreme measures and tactics to siphon people's energy, to change people's energy, and, to, yeah, confirmation with the bells in the background. And, yeah, to to basically steal not only your peace but your joy. And like I said, it took the first half of my day with this situation. However, I expect now that I have pushed the issue enough to get justice. I have cleared enough spiritually to ensure that I get justice. And also, um, I did this situation to trigger me, nor did I allow for it to steal my peace. I, professionally went about doing my due diligence and my part to get my justice. And whatever I have to do for this situation, I will do so that I ensure that I do get my justice for this situation because it's unacceptable. And a man like that needs to have consequences and repercussions for what they have done so that they're not doing it to anybody else. What I will say is that probably less than an hour after that situation happened, there were numerous children that came through the same area where he indecently exposed himself to me. And so, just as a mother as well, myself, that is not okay. That he has his man parts on display in an area that has children coming through it, you know. And if he did that to me, I'm sure at his older age, because this man was anywhere between 60 and probably 70 years old. I don't know exactly how old he was, but he is an older man who should obviously know better, and as an elder should not be, acting in these ways, right? But he did it in full expectation of not having to answer for his crimes, because there's so many people that were involved that were supposed to ensure that he didn't get any repercussions. And one of them actually happened to be the first sheriff that came out. That dude was not trying to allow me to exercise my rights to press charges and seek remedy. So I'm just really glad that his supervisor made him come back out and do what he's supposed to do in the situation. Kitty baby. Okay. But I'm not going to, as they say, run it up. I'm going to end this video. I'm going to meditate and clear my energy yet again, because even just talking about it, have any open energetic doors, even from talking about it. We're going to close all them doors spiritually and energetically. And yeah, I'm going to do what I have to do to cut any cords, tethers, cables, threads that they have attempted to create to my energetic field by this nonsense. I'm going to do some other stuff with that I'm not going to discuss, but definitely basically cleanse my what happened. So anyways, these are the types of things that they're doing so that unions can't happen, so people are in a mismatch of frequency. I mean, it's just like there's so much going on behind the scenes, and these people throwing rocks and hiding their hands and sabotage and just nonsense. Now, I could have been easily like, no, I don't got time for this, because a part of me was like, no, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to call the sheriffs, but this type of stuff has to end. This has to end. And it's only going to end if we actually push for and the scales of Ma'at being balanced out. Okay? So if you need anything else from me, go ahead and the description. I will have my 3 websites. Nieve Tigre, as you can hear him in the background meowing, his YouTube channel as well as his merch page. And I did start him a TikTok, but people have been stating that I need to create him an IG. And when I seen some of the kitties' IG pages on there that have millions of followers, I was like, yeah, maybe he does need an IG. Okay, all right. And so, anyways, yeah. If you would like, you can always support our channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And it just said that it cut out the live. I don't know if it did when I was just, telling people how they could support financially by PayPal, CashApp, or buying me a coffee. And then I do not allow for this. You can also support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, because those also do help people to find these videos via the algorithm. And you got anything else to say, Nieve? You sure are saying quite a bit. You got anything else to say? What else do you have to say? Okay, he only wants to say something when I'm saying something. Okay. So anyways, I'm going to end this video. You guys have a great day. Do not let these weirdos, do not let these chicken head hoes or weirdos mess up your day, steal your peace, change your vibration. Nieve is going off in the background. Okay. All right. Peace, everybody. Peace, everybody.